Hey YouTube, so I'm out here at AOAA. I just decided to do a pickup group. I was asking on Infidel of Maryland basically if there was any groups coming out, and they recommended Jeep Club of Maryland, JCMD. And I've been hanging out here for like an hour or so, just talking to the gate guards and stuff, having a good time. And they pulled up, and it looks like I'm gonna go out with them. So this is part of the crew right here. You're gonna get to see us do a video with Jeep Club of Maryland. And I think it's gonna be greens mostly, we'll see. Most of these, there's some new people here. If we do some blues, it'll probably be the easy blues. And I don't know which ones those would be, but well, I kind of do. So anyway, please enjoy and have fun. You can see the parking lot's pretty full here. It's a warm day, very, very warm day. It's like 85 degrees, and we have a Jeep in fun mode. And this will be the first time out with a new lift. So you can see here, there's like all this space. And if you saw the pictures on Facebook, those were fake pictures. The Jeep was still on the lift when we posted those pictures, just to kind of see if anybody would notice it. So yeah, we'll see you.
Hey YouTube, so we're going to stick to the flat area on this video, and then we're going to go find some hills in the next video. So we're in that upper part of the map. You can see, I'll zoom in a little bit. So we're going to do 11, 6, 7, and 8. That kind of loop going around that you can see on the screen is what we're doing. And it's mostly going to be like some mud holes, nothing too terribly deep, because this is all green territory at the AOAA. Now, like I mentioned, if you go and make a left-hand turn off the Anthracite Road and you go to the upper half of the map, that is primarily flat territory, and a lot of it is kind of muddy in places. If you go to the right, you go up the mountain, and obviously going up the mountain is going to be typically harder than being flat. And then the other thing is, going up the mountain, you have less water, obviously, also. So this is Trail 11 that we're on. Certain times of year, Excelsior Swamp is doable, and then in most of the other times of year, it's not doable. It's just so damn deep that unless you really want to, flood your vehicle, it's just not even something that you want to mess with. So this is Muddy Woods that we're on, and Muddy Woods is pretty friendly, and that is Trail 11. On Muddy Woods, if you go to the left-hand side, like we did, it's not as deep, and if you go to the right-hand side of the trail, it's significantly deeper. So what was interesting here to me is I wasn't with the typical guided ride that I've been going on, and this was a club that I just met up with. They'd never been in the park before, but they wanted to lead, which is fine. And the trail selection they had was just kind of interesting, because we ended up on a lot of trails that I don't normally do. So it was kind of neat to go on some different trails that that were different. So this is Trail 6 that we just turned onto, and it is mostly a connector. So on the map that I had up for a second or two, you have the green trails, which is basically like what we're on, and then there are these maroon colored trails. And on the Rouse Creek map, the maroon colored trails are blue blacks. On the AOAA map, and we're turning on to Trail 7, by the way, the maroon colored trails are actually like ATV, UTV trails. And on the older maps, the maroon trails used to be green trails. So that's where it can get really confusing. So if you have a very old map, you're only going to see the green, blue, black, red, in difficulty, and you won't have any of these maroons. But then if you have a newer map, you'll have some of the greens turned into maroons. And really the only difference between the maroons and the greens in my mind is how narrow they are. And the maroons are they're so much narrower and tighter to get around. They're designated for ATVs and UTVs only. However, that doesn't mean that you can't put a Jeep on them. And we didn't do any of the maroon ones, they almost did, but I've done the maroon ones before, some of the maroon ones with different groups. And sometimes it was intentional, sometimes it wasn't intentional, depending on the group that I was with, and the person I was leading just knew whether or not that was one of the ones that was doable or not. But I don't think the park really wants Jeeps on the maroon ones. So if I remember right, I was the only Gladiator with them, and we had just lifted the Jeep also, so this was the first day out with the Jeep. And I came out here on purpose because I wanted to test out the Jeep a little bit with the lift. Because after we did the blue guided ride, where we did some of the blues, I was a little bit disappointed with getting high centered, and then you know, having to get strapped where we got stuck on the other trail. And I'll tell you, it's like a night and day difference to me on having the lift. I mean, I know it's not really, some people say it's not necessary, but to me it seems night and day. Now obviously it's not really a fair comparison because you know, we're doing green trails before I was doing blue trails, and you know, I guess the only really way to have a fair comparison would be to do like the exact same trails in the exact same direction and just compare them. But you know, I'm telling you, I mean, I've done a lot more wheeling since we did this video, and I'm really happy with the lift, honestly. And originally, when we purchased this Gladiator, we were not planning on doing a lift because you can put 35s on in stock, and I don't know, the lift just seems like it's so much better. And so the lift, like I said in the lift video, the front is over 3.5 inches taller. Or over 3 inches taller. It's like 3.5, I think, and the back is like about 2.5 inches taller, and so now it's like kind of leveled, and like all that additional clearance seems like it really helps out. So in these trails, there's nothing too terribly challenging, if you didn't notice, other than all the tight turns. Most of this video, other than this one spot that we're on right now, where we kind of go uphill and downhill a little bit, is essentially tight gravel roads in my mind that that have some water on them. So this trail, like there's some water right there. So this set of trails that we went on very much reminds me of Flagpole Knob. Now, I mean, like Flagpole Knob, you're on the side of a hill, but I'm just saying, like, in difficulty, it just feels similar to Flagpole Knob in difficulty. This UTV really wanted to get by us. I don't know if you noticed this. He, like, absolutely wanted to get around us. So I did my best to help him get by. But that is not really trail etiquette, if you didn't notice. So in water, the advice that I always want to give out to people in water is don't stop in water. If you see the Jeep in front of you hasn't left you enough room in the water, like, don't pull into the water. It's best to go through the water without stopping. And, you know, obviously, you know, don't turn your engine off while you're in water, you know, unless like it's just a puddle or something like that. It's best to leave your engine running. Even if like it's deep enough to have like the bubbles, or especially if it's deep enough to have like the exhaust underwater or something, you always leave your Jeep running. Try to go through the water with like momentum. Try not to stop unless you have to. But obviously go in. If you don't know how deep it is, obviously go in slow enough that you can't stop and get out if you need to. Also, don't go through the water too fast because there are obstacles like underneath the water that you don't know about. One time, notably, I went through some water and there was actually a stump in the water that I couldn't see, and like I plowed basically right into the stump, and I couldn't even go forward at all. I had to back up to get around the stump, and it like literally the top of the stump was just barely underneath the water, so I couldn't see it, and it was pretty deep. So yeah, if you end up in water, that's the way that you want to do it. So these trails that we're on, they are kind of like UTV trails that have been widened, so then the Jeeps can fit on them, and they're well beat in, basically, is what I'm saying. So these would be probably pretty amazing trails to be on if you were in like a UTV or an ATV. And like I was saying, these are not normally the trails that I do. Normally, I actually make a right-hand turn and go either up the mountain or down the mountain. I don't usually spend a lot of time in these large, vast, flat areas. So, you know, I hope you like the videos that we're shooting and stuff, and each one is just a little bit different on the feel. Please like and subscribe. Subscriptions really help the channel out. We are really pushing to try to get our subscription count up. And this right here is the gravel road, and we are getting ready to turn off onto the rest of this little bit of trail. So in the end, basically, we're headed into a dead end. If you look on the map, you'll see that like this green trail turns into basically just some maroon trails. So basically, the little picture of a camera on the bottom right side of the map that you can see where it says Anthracite, East Anthracite Road, that's basically where we are headed. And you can see the only way to get off it is either maroon to the left or maroon to the right. That's a way to read the map. If you are trying to plan out where you're going, you always want to try to figure out a route that has like a green to go to, sort of, so to speak. Just like tip.
Hey YouTube, we are here with Jeep Club of Maryland, doing AOAA. We are doing greens mostly today. We might hit a blue, I don't know. And we're having a fun time. It's awesome. And we have stopped just for like 5 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes, to just have a little like relaxation break to eat or whatever. And we will see you on the trails. So please like and subscribe.